Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken af een jam.
Nebbig.
Verpoepoepoe.
Vermischt.
Verkakt.
Vertut.
Verstonken.
Fartig.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Shalom, everybody.
Chag Sameach.
Yes, a happy Purim.
Hey!
We're having another Jew-packed episode of American Jew here.
Right, I feel like we should be drinking more during this episode.
You know what? Maybe we should. Maybe we should have gotten drinks before this. Certainly after this, we're going to celebrate.
That's a good celebrate holiday.
Yeah, certainly when you turn on the news, it makes you want to drink.
Speaking of the news coverage of anti-Semitism is at an all-time high, and I was reading some statistics earlier that apparently from the last decade, 1/3 of the news about anti-Semitism has happened this year in the last 2.5 months or whatever.
So it's not even about the ratings because it's on every channel.
Yeah, it is absolutely crazy, and apparently now Fox News is leading the charge with anti-Semitic coverage.
Is it pro or anti?
It is anti-Semitism.
Finally.
And first of all, it's sickening and sad that, anti-Semitism is so prevalent now that the news is reporting on it more than ever. But even more so, when it comes to Fox News, some of the things that Trump has said recently, I think it's a little kind of propaganda where the Republicans are trying to get more support from the Jewish community by saying that the Democratic people, since Ilhan Omar, don't care about Israel and are not supporters of Israel. And I really think Trump is doing this trying to get the Jewish votes for, the upcoming election. And the Republicans are trying to sway the Jews to favor them. And I think that's crazy. We are both Jews. We are both Democrats. And we do not feel that way. And I'm sure we have people listening out there that also don't feel that way. So don't buy into that. Not all Democrats are anti-Israel. And don't believe the hype.
I mean, listen, just about everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, you can find reason to disagree with. There's a lot of shit that he says that you're like, really? Come on.
I think a majority of the stuff, he's like, well, that story about the king, the naked king in the city, the king with no clothes, you know what I'm talking about? Yes. Trump is kind of like that guy.
Oh, no, he is the emperor with no clothes.
Thank you. That's the official title, yes. He is the emperor with no clothes. And some people are making comparisons with him and Haman, the villain of Purim.
Well,
the bad guy.
Yeah, he's the bad guy, all right. Purim is one of the more celebratory holidays, the way that we celebrate it now. The way we look at Purim now is a very celebratory thing, but it's essentially one of the holidays that comes out of the old Jewish joke that you can sum up all of Jewish history with 3 phrases. They tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat.
Yes, you love that phrase, Jordon, and it's true. And this is a very celebratory holiday. Before we, I guess, get into the story of it, the things that you actually have to do that you get mitzvahs for doing on Purim is hearing the Megillah, which is the story of Purim, the book of Esther.
Yeah, and not just part of it, the whole Megillah.
You got to hear the whole Megillah.
You have to sit through all of it.
This is where the phrase, the whole Megillah, comes from, listening to the whole Megillah. And then you're supposed to give charity. You're supposed to have a festive meal, that many include drinking, and I guess you're supposed to give 2 food items to 2 different people. It's called shalach mano to help celebrate the holiday. And of course, we have the Hamantaschen,
right? The
cookies, the Jewish cookies that are very popular that aren't in the Book of Esther, but have come later on. And there are different theories as to why the Jews eat them. Apparently, it started as a pun, that it sounded like poppy seed filling, and then Haman's name. People want to say that it's something to do with the old practice of after they murdered somebody. By the way, spoiler alert: after they murdered somebody, they chopped off their ears, like happened to Haman. Other people say Haman had a hat that was triangular. Jews wanted to eat something sweet. Haman was a wicked man, and they wanted to turn it into something sweet. It's something that became a tradition, much like dressing up on Purim, which is a big part of Purim these days.
Right, the dressing up thing. I always felt like as a kid, they marketed it to kids as the Jewish Halloween.
Your parents, Jordan? Is this how they marketed it to you? I mean, there's no trick or treating because it's all treat. But again, dressing up isn't something that's in the Bible.
No, but when I was growing up at my temple, we would dress up, but we had to dress up as characters in the Purim story.
Well, I guess that's what they want to do. And apparently, I know there's different reasons that they say why we dress up, but apparently those all came up retroactively. And that the real reason dressing up started, which was like in the 13th century in Italy, had more to do with Fat Tuesday. It had more to do with the beginning of Lent, and that people were masquerading. And this also happened during the time where the Jews were having feasts for Purim and celebrating, and the dressing up kind of slipped in it. And then people started dressing up, and then that went all over Europe and to America and Israel and other places. And now I guess, after that, rabbis looked for reasons, retroactively of why, we dress up. Everything from Esther hid the fact that she was Jewish from the king Achashverosh to the fact that, this is one of the two, I guess, books in the Bible that God's name isn't mentioned once. So it does have more of a cultural aspect to it.
Right.
And apparently they're saying that, even though it wasn't like these real obvious miracles like in Exodus with the splitting of the sea or the plagues or anything, that God's hand was secretly behind everything that happened that worked out for the Jews. So like that, we should also do something like different and dress up. And that's the theories that they want to put out there. But it really has nothing to do with that. And apparently it has more to do with just Lent, which isn't a Jewish holiday. But should we get into the story of Purim?
I think we should, because I don't really know the story that well myself. I grew up Reform Jew, we were told, dress up.
You were told it's Jewish Halloween.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, we would go, from house to house and give our shalach mana to different people in the community. I grew up in a modern Orthodox community, and my parents made like fancy shalach manas. Everyone in the community, it was trying to like keeping up with the Joneses thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, who has the better, fancier shalach manos with the better stuff or the better theme or what have you. But all right, let's get into the story of Purim. I guess we'll start from the beginning. It takes place in Persia. Many years ago, around the time of the movie 300.
Right, Xerxes is in this.
Yeah, right. They say that Xerxes is Achashverosh,
right, who
was the king at the time. So it all started, by the way.
This is Purim!
So I guess it started there was like the 6-month party that he was having for his peeps, involving a lot of drinking, and then the last 7 days of this festival, everybody in the town or city or whatever got to participate in this drinking festival. By the way, 6 months of drinking, that's like, forget St. Patrick's Day. That's a real alcoholic holiday right there.
Those are guys that didn't need to find an excuse either.
No, they're doing it. So then the last 7 days, there was a party. The king had a wife at that time named Vashti, and he got a little drunk, and he ordered Vashti to show everybody at the party how beautiful she was, and he wanted her to wear nothing but the crown.
All right. Yeah.
So she didn't want to do this because...
My wife is beautiful. Come on, honey. Show everybody your tits.
Yeah, right? A little disrespectful to the queen. I mean, it was bad enough in Game of Thrones when they made her walk through the whole city naked. So he wanted his wife, that he really cared about, I guess, to be naked wearing only the crown. But apparently she was having some skin disorder or something, so she didn't want to do it. She said no. This really enraged Achashverosh, and he had her taken out. He had her killed. Apparently, some of the other people on his council said he really has to set an example of Vashti because he has to show all the women that they have to listen to their man. This was a real thing, like really, enforcing the patriarchy that women have to listen to men. So Achashverosh took out Vashti.
Killed his wife,
and then he said, "Oh, bring me all the beautiful women, because I'm going to pick a new wife."
Yeah.
So bring them all out, like parade them around. So he does that, and then he meets Esther. She was an orphan, and I guess she was also the cousin or the niece of Mordecai. Some say that maybe they were married. I don't know. But anyways, Achashverosh was taken with her because she was so beautiful, and she did not tell him that she was a Jew. And anyways, she became the new wife. Meanwhile, I guess Mordecai was hanging around the palace, and he overheard 2 of Achashverosh's guards plot to kill Achashverosh. So he told them so Achashverosh wouldn't get killed, and it was written down what he had done, even though he didn't get like any reward or anything for it. Then I guess Haman crossed paths with Mordecai, and Mordecai refused to bow down. He wouldn't bow down to Haman, and this pissed Haman the fuck off. And Haman just wanted to have not only Mordecai killed, but all of his people, all the Jews killed. So he told Achashverosh his plan. Achashverosh agreed. They made some decree. They were going to kill all the Jews. So Mordecai had a person in between him and Esther sending messages back and forth or whatever. And he's like, listen, you got to talk to Achashverosh and be like, don't kill everybody, you know? Yeah. And Esther's like, oh, I don't know. I can't do that. You're not allowed. Apparently, you weren't allowed to go to the king unless you had an invitation. You couldn't just go to the king and ask him for stuff or you'd get murdered. She didn't want to do that. So then she said, okay, I'm going to fast for 3 days and then I'll go talk to him. I guess she asked the Jews to also join her in this fast or whatever. She needed some fast support or what have you. And so after the 3 days, she invites...
Everybody's doing it.
Yeah, come fast with us. She invites Achashverosh and Haman to have a little feast. And they come to the feast, and, Achashverosh is very taken with her, so he spares her life for coming unsolicited to her. And then she asks them to come back the next night again for another feast.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Haman is so pissed off with Mordecai. I think Mordecai does something else to piss him off. And Haman's wife suggests that they build gallows to hang Mordecai. And they're going to hang Mordecai the next night, the same night as this feast that they're having. So in between these 2 nights, Achashverosh is having trouble sleeping. So he asks to be read read from the book of the things that have been happening in the kingdom recently, and he's actually read the part about how Mordecai saved his life by revealing that the 2 guards were going to kill him.
Oh wow, he didn't know that yet.
No, he forgot about it. I don't know. So it revealed that he did that and he got no reward for it. So at that point, so then the next time Achashverosh sees Haman, he asks Haman, "Hey, what would you do for somebody if I wanted to treat them well, if I wanted to give them a reward?" So Haman thought he was talking about him.
Oh, yeah.
So he suggested, you dress them up in the best of the king's robes and you have him go on the king's horse and you parade him around the city being like, this is what happens when you do good for the king or whatever. And then Achashverosh revealed, I want to do this for Mordecai. Because he saved my life, not Haman. And now Haman is really pissed off. Then they go to the dinner, and Esther reveals, hey, guess what? I'm a Jew, and Haman's trying to kill all my people. And Achashverosh is like, what? No, you're the best punani I've ever had. You're not going to get killed. And Mordecai, too. Mordecai's awesome. He saved my life. You know what? Who we're going to hang in these gallows that you built? You, Haman. We're going to kill you. So he does that, and then they can't, I guess, change the king's decree to say that, you can't kill all the Jews because they were going to kill the Jews. So they make a new decree that the Jews are allowed to proactively kill anyone that was going to kill them. So they kill, Haman's 10 sons. Apparently they kill another 300 people. And then Esther's like, oh, hey, we should keep this going and kill all the Jew haters. The next day they kill another 500 people. I don't know. Apparently they killed over 75,000 people that were messing with the Jews. And then Mordecai became an advisor to Achashverosh.
Achashverosh is basically listen, I said there was going to be killings.
Well, I like that. It's well, I can't change the thing about killing you guys, so you guys can kill those guys, it was kind of a little weird. I don't really like that end part about it. It seemed a little spiteful that we, then we go and murder everybody.
Right.
Unnecessary. We didn't need to do that. We could have just killed Haman, maybe his 10 sons, set an example, don't fuck with the Jews, and that could have been it. But, and now, we celebrate this holiday.
Right. The Jews, instead of being killed, did the killing, and now we have Hamantaschen and we get drunk.
Pretty much, and dress up.
So,
most of these things, the way we celebrate, especially Hamantaschen and the dressing up, they're not in this. These are things that came across later, traditions. And in the Bible, like we said, God's name isn't mentioned in this story once. This is, where they say, oh, that's why we dress up, because he was in secret. He was doing this. It wasn't known that he did the miracles, but he made it all happen. He made it that Achashverosh couldn't sleep, and that they read exactly that portion about Mordecai, and what have you. It's a little bit BS, I think. But when you read the Megillah, you shouldn't read the whole Megillah.
Yeah.
You could end the Megillah story with they killed Haman, Mordecai was made an advisor to the king, and they all lived happily ever after.
Here's a cookie.
Yeah, here's and then we went and murdered everybody.
I went to a Purim party a few years ago that was definitely my eyes were widened a little bit.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess I don't know. It was a Dr. Seuss themed Purim party.
Oh, wow.
I was dressed as the schmuck in the hat.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Very good one.
We read one fish, two fish, red fish, gefilte fish.
All right.
We got drunk. I think
drinking.
instead of calling it the Jewish Halloween, we should call it the Jewish St. Patrick's Day, which is that we party, we get drunk, and we've actually forgotten what the real meaning is at this point.
I guess. Yeah, it would make more sense. It's it's this time of year. It's very, by the way, suspicious to me how these holidays seem to match up. Hanukkah and Christmas, Passover and Easter, Purim and St. Patrick's Day. At least it's at a different time than Halloween. Could you imagine if it was in October? That'd be the worst. I mean, Jesus was probably at some sort of Purim celebration.
Right.
I think he turned water into wine at one of them too, actually.
That's how you get the party started.
I mean, that's why he was invited.
Yeah. That is why he was invited.
God, Jesus is so annoying. He's always bragging about his dad. Yeah, but he turns water into wine, dude. You got to make sacrifices when he can.
Well, I hope you have a happy Purim.
We hope everybody had a very happy Purim. They drowned out the name of Haman, and they, ate Hamantaschen. I hope I get to eat some Hamantaschen.
I'm not really a big Hamantaschen fan. The ones that I remember growing up was like apricot and prune. I mean, it's not...
Well, I guess poppy seed is the most popular one. That's apparently where the name came from. But I have been seeing some crazy Hamantaschen, like feta cheese, leek Hamantaschen, pizza Hamantaschen. These ain't your daddy's Hamantaschen. These are some real, people are really spicing it up. It's not just poppy seeds and fruit anymore. It is sky's the limit. So it's not personally my favorite thing either, but I think we've talked about this. The way we like to celebrate, or I like to celebrate things, is with food. So I made some corned beef on St. Patty's Day, and I
had some corned beef on St. Patty's Day.
I am hoping that I get some Hamantaschen. I'm hoping that someone makes me some Hamantaschen.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a happy Purim.
Yes, we hope everybody has a very happy Purim.
Follow us on all the social medias, American Jew Podcast, across everything, except on Twitter, where it's American Jew Pod.
Check me out on Instagram at Jonathan Randall.
And thank you guys for listening. Come on, let's go have some cookies.
Have a good Shabbos.
Sameach.